Good morning, Dr. Sen. I will present my feasibility study on the profitability of Zebo's liquor store in Brisbane. Just a roadmap, industry partner, a research problem, research aim, literature review, research questions, research design, ethical considerations. I will start off with the industry partner. Zebo's Liquor will be the name of the new startup business in the liquor retail industry in the suburb of Waikele in Brisbane. The business will be owner-operated with 2 to 3 employees depending on the business hours. The business will sell alcoholic beverages and soft drinks ranging from red wine, white wine, rose, champagne, sparkling, whiskey, spirits, beers, ciders, fortified wine and other drinks. Accessories will also be available with some other shop offers. Research problem. The problem will be to find out whether the new liquor store business in the suburb of Waikele in Brisbane will be profitable or not. Due to the highly competitive market in this industry in Brisbane, my strategy will be to supply product that is not readily available to the Australian industry. Based on the demographics of the expat population in Waikele, I will cater for the desirable expat requests. My product strategy would be to use the product to draw in customers. My price strategy on this specific niche international product would be to ensure that the lowest margin possible, thus low profit to ensure more feet into my store, exposing them to the bulk of my products. Why is it important to solve this problem? There is a huge amount of investment and effort that will be at stake if the problem is not solved. Also, consequences for potential staff if the business should fail. Research aim. The aim is to understand if a startup liquor store business in the suburb of Waikele in Brisbane will be profitable or not, and what the owner-operator can do to ensure the profitability of this business. Literature review. The next section of my presentation will focus on academic literature to investigate feasibility of the new business and to discuss the factors that affect the success and failure of this new business. The first 3 points explains the theory behind Porter's 5 forces. To explain the influence of the factors on the success of the business, I will use examples from the higher education industry. Threat of new market entrants, cited in Matugu and Katu in 2015, Porter 2008, argues that it is not to say that it is the actual entry of the new competitor, but the threat of a new entrant that drives competition and influences profitability. As an example, Matugu and Katu in 2015 explains that due to the lack of stringent government regulation, competition increased in the higher education industry. Due to the entrance of this higher education industries. The factors that influence the potential entry include economics of scale. Existing providers can create these economies of scale. The threat of new entrants will decrease and will have a positive influence on the success of a business. Bargaining power of suppliers. Pringle and Huisman in 2011 suggest in higher education, labour should be recognized as the suppliers, with highly skilled lecturers, researchers and administrators having the most supply power. This is cited in Matugu and Katu in 2015. Anand in 2012 found that with the increase in the amount of higher education industries and the scarce trained faculty staff that and the suppliers' bargaining power has increased. Cited in Matugu and Katu in 2015. This increase in supplier bargaining power has a negative effect on profitability of higher education industries due to the increase of labour cost. The bargaining power of the buyers. According to Matugu and Katu in 2015 on page 339, the higher education industries, the buyers is the student and the parent, in the sense that they purchase education from the institution. Per Pringle and Huisman in 2011, with more standardized service offering, the bargaining power of the student or parents increase, allowing for more availability, and better selection options, thus reducing the switching cost. And that's cited in Matuga and Couture in 2015. Thus, for more options allow for more power to the buyer and will influence profitability negatively. Threat of substitute. Porter in 2008 suggests that a substitute performs the same or a similar function as the by a different means. Is cited in Matuga and Couture in 2015 on page 339. Better and Hunt in 2012, the biggest concern is the overwhelming threat from a number of substitutes globally in the distance education and online learning industries. According to Martinez and Wolverton in 2009, the time, convenience, and application with time the culprit for driving students to seek substitutes, and in the case of adults, it's normally convenience. And that was cited in Matuga and Couture in 2015. Thus, increase in the threat of a substitute will negatively affect the profitability and vice versa. Intensity of rivalry. Per Porter in 2008, rivalry among competitors can be brought about by price discounting, new product introduction, advertising, campaigns, and servicing improvements. And this is cited in Matuga and Couture in 2015 on page 340. Per Martinez and Wolverton in 2009, in the higher education industry, the intensity of rivalry is directly proportional to the amount object of the competition. Students, teaching staff, faculty, donors, or government-based funding and research funds. In addition, it is dependent on two factors: the number of higher education industries in the pool competing for the amount of students, the faculty, the government-based funding, and the research money, and industry contacts. Thus, the less tense the rivalry, the more profitable the higher education industry, and vice versa if the intensity of rivalry increases. Pestle analysis. Again, the first point, just background on the theory on pestle analysis. I will use examples from Queensland government to illustrate the influence of factors on the profitability of a business. Political, government bureaucracy, political advocacy, lobby groups, labor movements can affect the success of a business. An example can be a political unrest in the case when a labor lay down tools and take part in demonstrations. Should a business be near a political march, it may consider closing its shop, and thus will affect sales for the day. Economy, exchange rates, business cycles, local, national, and global growth rates. An example of this could be if a trade hours is restricted by a local council, business profitability will be affected negatively in that case. Social, demographic impacts, social movements and trends. An example of this can be a cultural change in the demographics of an area. More people that are religious and don't consume alcohol will affect profitability of a liquor store negatively. Technological, mobile and connecting technologies, new products and materials. An example can be the technology on mobile phones that alert customers if they are near to the store. That may prompt unplanned visits to the store and affect sales positively. Environmental, climate concerns and impacts, pollution, recycling. An example of this can be extreme weather conditions that prevents people from leaving their homes and will affect sales for the duration of that storm. Legal, laws, regulation, taxes, borders, jurisdictions. An example can be changes to the laws on public drinking of alcohol can, for instance, be positive for sales if allowance can be made for exemptions at special events. For example, if concerts can be held on the beach where alcohol is allowed. SWOT can be defined as the process of exploring the internal and external environments of an organization and extracting convenient strategies based on strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Building on strengths, a company's strengths are its core competencies and resources in which it is one of the market industry leaders. Per the Queensland Government, strengths is an internal factor to the business. An example would be to recognize achievement. For instance, excellent sales results of a niche product and then taking advantage of that strength to gain a competitive edge over your rivals. Minimize weaknesses. Weaknesses are areas of substandard business performance compared to others in the industry or market segments. Per the Queensland Government, weaknesses are an internal factor of the business. An example can be to recognize a problem area, for example, display racks in a store that is too high, out of reach. Identifying weaknesses timeously can prevent the problem areas and have a positive effect on profitability. Seizing opportunities. An opportunity or the potential for new business markets or innovative breakthroughs that might greatly expand present markets. Per the Queensland Government, opportunities are an external factor to the business. An example can be to identify a new innovative technology to import into the business. Mobile alerts when regular customers get into close proximity to the business, thus gaining competitive advantage over your rivals and increase profitability due to the gain in sales. Counteracting threats. A threat are the potential for business and market losses posed by the actions of competitors and other competitive forces, changes in government policies, disruptive new technologies, and so on. Per the Queensland Government, threats are an external factor to the business. An example on how threats could influence the business negatively are influences such as interest rates and market fluctuations, new laws, or government restrictions. Market analysis. Very briefly, a study by Hunt and Morgan in 1995, supported by Corey in 91 and Kotler in 94, found that product price distribution and promotion decisions is the building blocks of marketing strategy used, with decisions relating to marketing segmentation and targeting and the development of positioning strategy. Jatter and Whaley in 95 pointed out product policy. Jatter and Whaley explained the product policy as the value of the product or service and found that it is as a result of the interaction between buyer and seller. In addition, the complexity of the relationship hence leads to a higher density of values and integration of multiple service aspects, even in manufacturing goods. Per Kotler in 2014 on page 181, profitability will be influenced by the way the product policy is influenced by the following factors, and that will be product, variety, quality, design, features, brand name, packaging, sizes, warranties, and returns. The pricing policy. Jatter and Whaley, 1995, explained the pricing policy as the fact that every single relationship should be treated as an investment for the company shows customer lifetime value as the guiding criterion for pricing policies. This was cited in Zebin and Philipson in 2007 on page 233. Per Kotler, profitability will be influenced by the way the pricing policy is influenced by the following factors: list price, discounts, allowances, payments, periods, and credit terms. Communication mix and promotion. Chatter and Worley in 95 explain communication mix or promotion as communication messages do not primarily deal with the features of the product, but address directly individual customer characteristics and preferences. Cited in Zebin and Philipson in 2007 on page 233. Per Kotler, profitability will be influenced by the way the communication mix or promotion policy is influenced by the following factors: sales promotion, advertising, sales force, public relations, and direct marketing. Distribution system or place. The study by Stevenson found that distribution is the consequence of the increased necessity for holistic consideration in between and across companies, business activities and resources in and between marketing channels in order to improve the overall performance towards the ultimate consumer in the marketplace. And that can be found in Stevenson in 2002 on page 734. Per Chatner and Worley in 95, it is critical variable for its value generating potential. Exploiting this potential can result in either a reduction of barriers for relationship maintenance or an enhancement of future customer contracts. Per Kotler on 2014 on page 181, profitability will be influenced by the way the distribution policy is influenced by the following factors: the channel, the coverage, assortments, locations, inventory, and transport. An illustration of the conceptual map. 2 research questions will guide my research. Will Zebo's liquor be profitable or not? And what can Zebo's liquor do to ensure that it will be profitable? Research design. Research design is a step-by-step process of what is needed to be done to collect and analyze data. It can be described as the project plan for a research study. The following slides will deal with my design. I have decided to apply the mixed method approach in my research study. The reasons for this: nature of the research question. Per Creswell in 2009 summarized in the study material if the research question goal are to explore the relationship between the dependent and independent variables, a quantitative approach would be appropriate. Comprehensiveness of the literature. In line with the suggestions from the study material of Southern Cross 2018, after completion of the literature review, it is evident that the potential causes of my research problem is well covered, with all the factors covered comprehensively in the literature. Sample size, as suggested by the study material, even though the first 2 points discussed above pointed me in the direction of adopting a qualitative method, I cannot predict with certainty that my sample size will achieve at least 100 participants. Thus, my decision to adopt a mixed method. The sample, who will supply the data? I will be gathering data from the random public by leaving surveys at selected shops in shopping centres in and surrounding my selected suburb. I will gather data from general Facebook users, applying judgment by selecting specific Facebook groups and general groups for that area. Where will their contact details come from? No contact details will be gathered. Surveys will be handed to the shop owners, where participants will resubmit the survey for collection later. A return procedure will be part of the surveys posted on Facebook. How will they be contacted? I will not contact them. From how many people will data be collected? From as much people as possible within a given time frame. In qualitative less data can be adequate to gain needed insight, and you can stop gathering when you achieved your data saturation, and that was from Southern Cross University in 2018. Which sampling method, probability or non-probability, will be selected and why? I will select non-probability sampling for the following reasons. I have made and explained my selection of the mixed method known in step 1. According to the study material in Southern Cross University 2018, other than the quantitative methods where the researcher's goal is to generalize findings, to include the entire population confidently, this is not a concern for qualitative research. Hence the reason why the qualitative research study normally embraces a non-probability sampling method. With my current personal constraints of residing overseas, non-probability sampling is preferred due to it being a sampling method that is selected and that we found in Southern Cross University 2018. Hence, by intentionally choosing participants based on ease of access, my data collection process will become less strenuous. Which sampling technique will be used and why? I will make use of a judgment sampling method for the following reasons. It's found in Hay et al. In 2016. Being one of the selection techniques in non-probability sampling, the selective element of the sampling method will be favorable to my residential constraints. Here et al. In 2016, page 184, lists the advantages of judgment samples as follows. The convenience, the speed, and the low cost. It allows me to be selective using the judgment to select, for instance, specific expat Facebook pages as a target to line up with my strategy to supply niche international products. Important to include all the countries' expat populations that resides in the applicable suburb, just to prevent that there is selection bias. Research tools. For the purpose of this presentation, the research tools will not be discussed. I have attached an example of the tools that I will use, including an explanation on how the primary and secondary data will be collected at the end of this presentation. Ethical considerations before the research. Because I will be both the researcher and client in my project, I do not have to get approval from a client. I will honestly assess my capabilities and skills and resources to ensure success of the project, that the research questions will be adequately addressed. During and after the research. During the research, I will ensure that I have fully capable and understand the analytical and statistical tools to complete the research. Knowledge will be gained through study material from Southern Cross University. After the research, a report will be presented containing any limitations for complete understanding of its influence on the results to ensure that informed decisions can be made. Obligation to the participants. I will show respect to the participants by describing nature and extent of the input, including the time estimation required for the participation in my survey. I will ensure that nobody is forced to participate in my survey by giving proper instructions to the shop owners that will hand out the surveys, and by explaining voluntary contributions in the online instructions. I will ensure freedom from harm by ensuring that the participants is restored to his or her original condition on completion, and the participants will not have unknowingly been exposed to stress or risk. This will be accomplished by the use of validated and approved data collection tools, survey questionnaires. I will ensure that the participants' privacy is protected by a promise of anonymity and not a request for personal identification. The research purpose will be explained to the participants in the survey instructions. Southern Cross University ethics clearance for MNG 93217. I will ensure that all considerations listed in the ethics clearance are adhered to. Because my only contact with the outside participants would be through my survey, I will ensure that I use an approved data collection tool, survey questionnaire that was checked and approved by my lecturer at the university. I want to thank you for your time and patience sitting through my long presentation.